I bought a car in Medellin, Colombia, and I've owned it for about a year. So today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of car ownership and why I decided to buy a car personally. When you first buy a car, you get one of these registration cards, and it's got all the information that you would typically see on a registration, with even a fingerprint and all of that to verify that you own the car. And it's hard plastic. It's not paper like in the US, so it could be falsified or any of that. This document is very, very legit, just like a driver's license, right? It's very, very cool. So they give you one of those, and you're required to get a Tecnico, which I'm getting today, and I'll drive to that location and show you what that's all about. And you also, a Tecnico is basically a smog test, a roadworthiness test. And the second thing you need is a SOAT, or SOAT, which is the mandatory insurance. And you need to keep both of those things, and it's renewable every single year. A Tecnico, technically, if you have a newer car, you won't need to do it for the first 5 years. But I bought a used car, and so if your car is over 5 years old, you need to do one every single year to make sure that it's roadworthy. Now, I'll be completely transparent and honest. Half of the cars that you see in Colombia, I'm thinking there's no way they're passing this Tecnico test, right? Some of the bikes don't have lights on and all of this kind of stuff. So I don't know how they drive. My best guess, if I had to guess, is if they're being pulled over, they're probably slipping them a little bit of money to get away with not having a Tecnico. I'm not sure. I'm not saying the police here are corrupt, but I can tell you that I've been stopped before, and I didn't really, it was really difficult for me to understand what they were saying. I was using a translator. I had my passport. I showed them my documents of my vehicle, but everything went away when I slipped a little picture. Okay, so that's all I can say about that. Anyway, let's talk about the pros and cons. As I'm driving to get my Tecnico, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about it. Obviously, there's a lot more headache to owning a car than the benefits, especially if you're living here part-time like I am. But I really enjoy driving, and money is, I mean, obviously money is important. I like to save money, but at the same time, I don't let money control or dictate the way I live. If I like to do something, I try it. And I don't really think about the money aspect of it. And I know a lot of you guys have worked very, very hard, so you can do that also in life. And so for me, I wanted to have my own car and drive whenever I want to. And the additional expenses, like doing the Tecnico, doing the SOAT, which is the mandatory insurance, and all of these things, never really bothered me. You know, paying the additional fees or jumping through some extra hoops really didn't bother me. Why? Because I have a parking spot in my apartment. Whenever I want to go someplace, I can go someplace, and it just gives me the freedom. I really like going to PriceSmart and having my own car, so you can buy as much as you want and stuff your car full of stuff. And then, you know, like whenever I'm going someplace far, like a day trip, I'm planning to do some more day trips during my stay here. So when I do my day trip next week, I'm planning to go on Monday. But when I go, I'm not having to worry about ordering an Uber or, you know, getting a private driver. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can save a bunch of money, but this is what I choose to do. So if you're one of those people that wants to own a car, go for it. I will tell you though, it's not financially rewarding. You're not saving any money. It's costing you more money. The only reason to really do it is if you really enjoy the experience of driving and owning your own car. All right, that's it. We'll talk soon. So basically they're taking that registration card and putting in all my information.
¿Qué kilometraje tiene? Pasas a la caja y cancelas, bajando a mano derecha por toda la cebra.
Okay.
Con mucho gusto.
Gracias.
Las llaves son las
Okay, they just took all my information and now I have to go pay. So this is a typical Tecnico station. They do all the vehicle inspections. and various things like that. Yeah. There's a lot of these service stations all throughout because obviously it's a requirement. I bet you're surprised that it's pretty clean. Cleaner than the US emissions places. They definitely need to do something about the waiting room because everybody's behind this railing just waiting. And there's only 2 seats inside there. I guess we're supposed to stand and wait and watch. My car is over there. Hopefully this whole process won't take too long, but we'll see. My motorcycle took about 30 minutes to get the Tecnico done. Let's see how long this takes. This is what I paid, $336. It's about $85, $90, something like that. Maybe a little bit more depending on today's currency exchange. So a lot more than the United States, right? The United States, when you do a vehicle emissions, it's about 25 bucks. And I think a lot of states are even getting rid of emissions, but here it's about 80 bucks a year, 90 bucks a year to get your emissions done, emissions checked. But it's a little bit more than emissions here. You can see, for example, you can see this guy crawling underneath and checking things underneath the car with his flashlight. They're taking photos. They're doing a lot of different things. So a smog test. They're doing a lot more. Well, he's in my car now. See, they're checking the suspension, or yeah, they're checking the steering and the suspension. Do you see that? That's very interesting. I've never seen anybody do that before. And then they're moving forward. Wow, that is crazy. They're moving the wheels. That's really interesting. Learn something new every day. How different countries do different things. I just returned, finally done. It was about 2 hours long. It was quite an ordeal. Like in the US, a smog test is about 15 minutes and about 25 bucks, right? It's really simple. Here's a lot more involved. Everything here is a lot more involved. So is it worth it? Financially speaking, absolutely not, right? Ubers are so inexpensive here. Getting private drivers are so inexpensive here. Renting a car is so inexpensive here. It's not worth it to own your own car in most cases, right? Especially if you're here part-time. I'm here part-time, like half the year, not even half the year sometimes. So it's definitely not worth it for me financially. So why did I do it? If you're one of those people who value experiences, then it might be worth it for you. Let me explain. Like if I go to a restaurant, I don't mind spending $200, right? I hate spending $200 on clothes or something like that, but I love spending $200 on the experience. When I experience something, enjoy a good meal with my friend or family, I love it. And no amount of money is gonna stop me from enjoying a nice meal. I shouldn't say no amount of money, but you know what I'm saying. So the experience is everything. And when you're driving versus being a passenger, it's a totally different experience, right? When you're a passenger, sometimes you don't even know how you got to your destination. But when you're the driver, you remember, oh yeah, I took a right there and I took a left there. You're a lot more involved in what's happening. And so I enjoy the fact of being immersed in the city as I'm driving through Colombia. And I can tell you my life after having a car versus before having a car is totally different. I know the roads a lot better. I feel like I know the people a lot better. I know how to interact with cars and motorcycles a lot better. And for me, I enjoy that experience. Same thing with when I'm riding my bike, carving up the mountain roads or carving through traffic or lane splitting and watching, dodging and all of that. That whole experience to me is worth it. So are you one of those people who enjoy driving, enjoy the experience and extra money? You have some disposable income that you don't mind parking in a car for a while? Then get it. Absolutely. Why? Here's the thing. Cars are more expensive here. I would say on average 20 to 30% more, but in certain brands, depending on supply and demand, for example, a Toyota truck, like a 4Runner, will be about 75% more than the US. So if it's a $25,000 truck in the US, here you're expected to pay $35,000 to $40,000. It's a lot more expensive because supply and demand. I don't know, they love Toyota trucks here, okay? But most cars are about 20, 30% more. And if you're gonna sell it later, you're gonna get that money back, or some of it back at least. So is it worth it to you? I can't answer that question, only you can. But if experiences are important to you and you love to drive, you love to ride your motorcycle, why not, right? That's the way you should live your life, why not? The one thing I will tell you, you can't take money with you when you die. All you have left when you're gone is your memories, right? So enjoy those memories, create those memories, have an amazing time. That's what Mature Medellin is all about.